Believe it or not, despite Black Ops 6 ranked play feeling the same, there are some major changes that took place over the recent update. And if you're like me, you've been losing a lot more games than normal recently. And if you're trying to rank up, you might be wondering why it's way more difficult than it has been previously. And today I'm going to explain why. So my goal in today's video is to explain these changes, how to adapt to them, and even how to use them to your advantage. So if this video helps you out, like and subscribe, and let's get into the video. So first, let's explain the changes that I'm talking about. If you've been struggling on Hacienda or Volt Control recently, it's actually because you're not playing the same game that you were a few weeks ago. And not everybody in the low ranks will even notice these changes, so the fact that you're watching this video, especially if you're a lower ranked player, will put you at a huge advantage the next time that you're playing either of these maps in Control. Also, as we get into these, I should let you know that it's very possible that the spawns that we're about to talk about get patched. If that's the case, I'll leave a pinned comment down below, just letting you know that spawns are back to normal and that you don't have to worry about these anymore. So if y'all remember back to the old Hacienda Control, the spawns were very sticky, as in all the way back spawn on this side, the defensive side, and all the way back spawn here on the offensive side. It was very hard to push out of these. Sometimes you could get some boat spawns that were a little bit closer up, or sometimes if you were on offense, you could get some of the P2 spawns here that were a little bit closer to contesting A. Sadly, these are not as common anymore, and that's not really how Control works in this game anymore, at least on the current patch like I was talking about earlier. On the defensive side, the side that we're on right now, the main spawn is actually going to be close to B, and the same thing goes for the opposite side, the offensive team. After the start of the round, when the offensive team spawns up, it's going to be close to well. And what this means is that the majority of your engagements on Hacienda Control are going to be for the B point, and it's going to be fast engagements, way faster than it ever was before. And now, since that defensive spawn close to 10 is way closer than that well spawn that I just showed back there, it's going to be super easy not only to defend B, it'll be super easy to take routes to top plat, end up top mid, and then contest or block people from capturing A. To simplify this for right now, I'm going to talk from the defensive team's perspective, the side that we're on right now. Pretty much every life, you're going to want to make sure that the opponents are not pushing to B. Once you've cleared out the site, yes, you can push up, but you need to keep in mind that they're going to be spawning close well. The same thing goes for if you push up top plat, you're going to want to look secret and look down towards well. Pretty much forget everything that you know about the middle and left side of the map, unless you're playing a team that likes to take routes. The majority of your engagements will be here on the right side of the map, looking down towards well, or if you're able to push into their top mid, maybe even their lobby, you can spawn trap them taking routes back to lobby, or even flank the ones that have pushed up to well. If you're on the defensive team and you're able to get just to here or a top spiral, or even push into the lobby, it's enough to push that close well spawn from the opposite team even further back. I want to say it's usually around here back fences or even behind the milk truck. So simply getting lobby control is enough to rid of that spawn, meaning you can sit on this head glitch right here and trap them as they try to push towards B. This map pretty much completely changed in that the left side of the map, this rock and P4 area, is going to be pretty much useless. If you find somebody that actually takes a long enough route to go through P2, I mean, you can definitely spot them or just call out to your team that you don't see anybody pushing towards mid or the right side and to pick up left. But I promise you, especially in the lower ranked lobbies like Diamond or below, the majority of your engagements, probably 90+%, are going to be right here on this side of the map. And last couple points from the defensive side, if you're able to push up this close to the archway here, that's also enough to spawn them back towards the back fences. And so yeah, keep that in mind. You want to be either here or top mid like this, and that's going to be enough to spawn the team back to the normal spawns back here. If you're not pushed out past about this line right here, they're going to keep spawning close well, and they're just going to funnel B. And now, while I'm on offense, let's talk about offensive strategies. You don't want to get trapped here, and a lot of teams, as they're picking up on the new spawns, are going to be looking towards this archway, maybe playing an off angle or something like that. It won't be a bad idea to take those longer routes we were talking about earlier, but if you're able to push up to the shed, you're able to get onto B. Keep in mind though, even when you're capturing the zone, your opponents are still able to spawn right back here, super close to B, and very easy for them to push up and contest you here. So if you're trying to completely capture the B zone, not only do you want to have control of the actual site itself, you want to push up either into 10, or you can have somebody take a mid route and end up either top plat or top office. And simply having somebody plat or office is enough to get rid of this spawn I was talking about earlier and to push them back towards the more traditional spawns I was talking about back there. So what you'll need to do, and honestly what I need to do, is break out of the habit of just hopping on B and stacking it, because that's not going to help out your team very much if your opponents all 4 of them are going to be spawning directly in front of you and pushing the point. Not only are those helpful positions to stop your opponents from getting onto the zone, they will also spawn your opponents even further back, making it way easier for the entire team to take space on the map. And truthfully, from the offensive perspective, B is going to be the most difficult zone to capture, so I would prioritize this as a team, keeping in mind all the strategies I was talking about earlier. Then once you have the B zone captured, that's when you can transfer over to A. The tricky thing is, even after you capture the B zone, your opponents will still have this spawn, which of course gives them easy routes towards you or towards top plat to stop you from capturing the A zone. So you'll still want to have teammates pushed out into their base far enough to have them spawning back. And then you'll see the more traditional gunfights where you're catching people low wine, or people pushing boat, or towards the back hedge. So capturing A is still extremely difficult. This spawn change mainly makes it way more difficult to capture B and changes Hacienda to a way more defensively favored control map. To quickly reiterate, because I kind of just word vomited, when you're on defense, you're spawning close to B, but so are your opponents. Be ready for all of your gunfights to be here. If you don't want the game to be hectic, push out the well side of the map or push out their top mid, and then you're back to normal. From the offensive side, capturing B is going to be crazy difficult because they spawn right here. So have a teammate in 10, have a teammate top plat, or have a teammate in office to spawn the opponents further back. And also go for capturing B first because it's the harder zone. And as we get into the next map's changes, which is going to be Vault, I want to shout out Paradox Customs for my brand new PC. Y'all might have seen this in the last video or my recent short, but I have a beefy PC with a 5080 inside of it. Shout out Paradox Customs again. We were playing ranked on PC a couple weeks ago and I had 300 frames the entire time. So if you want a PC like the one that I have, go to the Paradox link in the description and use code ZEN at checkout. Thank you again, Paradox Customs, for the PC, and let's get back to the video. And now on Vault Control, these changes are actually insane. Honestly, a lot of the lower ranks that might not even pay attention to these spawns have probably already noticed how crazy they are. On the old Vault, A used to be the easier zone to capture, and B used to be the more difficult zone to capture. Obviously, those were reversed on defense. B was super easy to defend, and A was also easy, but a little bit more difficult. The reason that was the case is because the stickier spawns on the old Vault for defense were towards art. The new spawns, for whatever reason, we don't know why they changed them, are here, back towards P4, meaning the defensive team is going to continue to spawn in this back corner, usually funnel towards rugs, and then play top cat. These are the spawns that you used to want to force the defensive team to spawn in. The only way to do that on the old Vault was to push into art. You no longer need to do that anymore until they patch these spawns again, which I'll let you know in a comment down below if they end up doing that. So this means from the defensive perspective, you're going to want to find a way to contest A more than you're going to want to contest B. A lot of teams haven't picked this up yet and will still kind of default to trying to make B mixy and not fully going for the zone capture, maybe even having somebody on offense still push out into art, even though that's not necessarily needed. But the new thing to keep in mind when you're on defense is that you want to fight for A for as long as you can. A should not be the type of zone that you give up anymore, like the strategies were for the old Vault Control, where you used to be okay with giving up the A zone and just defending B. It doesn't work like that anymore. You need to send all your reinforcements onto A and truly make sure that nobody is capturing the zone, because if you lose A, B is going to be a super easy capture. The only good news about you spawning back here is that, like I said, it's really easy to take top cat routes and get cat control, or you can even take a further right route towards the pool and have easy flanks towards their lobby or even their back P2. And unless I'm mistaken, the offensive spawns are relatively similar. So there's a back P2 spawn, there's a deep spawn, and then there's one closer to ammo right here. The probability of spawning in any of those locations, I believe, is unchanged. So essentially, they just made the map way more offensive heavy. Probably the biggest 2 tips I can give for defense on Vault Control now is the first one, to contest A as heavy as you can, and the second one is to really prioritize having somebody art or top art. If you can push up the B street and stop them from capturing the B zone, even better. Like a top ammo play would be great on defense if you can make that work. Now from the offensive side, here's where you really need to listen up. The A zone is now the harder one to capture. Again, this is because your opponents are now going to spawn here pretty much every single life. So before, in the old Vault Control, it was important to hold top cat control to make sure your opponents don't drop down. Now it's even double as important because, like I said, they're spawning right there. So not only do you want to have somebody holding top cat, you want them to go back and forth between the pool and the top to make sure nobody's taking any crazy left routes. Now, once you've done your job and you have the A zone captured, previously the way that the older Vault Control spawns worked, before you even thought about capturing the B zone, you sent somebody into art, kind of like how I was talking about earlier, to block the spawns, making sure they can't spawn here and will end up spawning here. Now, since these are the main spawns, you no longer need somebody in art in the first place. You can still send somebody here if you want, just to deny the power position of top art, but really, I mean, if you're staying down on the point, that's not really something you need to worry about. You can honestly use this as a head glitch. You can stay further back. You can stay down from top art. It's really not a priority anymore to push up past this side of the map just because you don't need to. So once you first captured A, all that you'll need to focus on B, I mean, you can keep an eye way back there and see if anybody crosses to go to art, but I would mainly go here, look towards Lion, check your close left. Maybe somebody even pushed up mid into lights, and this would stop them from both flanking the mid doors, and going vault. Realistically though, once you capture the A zone, B should be a piece of cake with the new spawns. If you're having difficulty capturing the A zone, it's likely because your opponents are spawning left and taking those left routes we were talking about earlier. If you want to stop them from spawning there, I believe it's as easy as pushing into this rugs area right here, even sitting on this head glitch or something like that to deny that spawn. This would give your opponents a more traditional spawn of deep mid or maybe even back art, and ideally holding a spot like this would make it way easier for your teammates to capture the A zone. Just make sure you're communicating that with them and it doesn't look like you're just pushing up here to play for kills or something like that. Make sure they know that your intent is to stop them from spawning at that close left spawn, and if you also have a line of sight down this alleyway, your teammates really only have to worry about the B doors and somebody taking a vault route, maybe somebody going back spawn. On a game mode like Control, truthfully, knowledge is power, and knowing where your opponents are going to be coming from is going to completely change the game for your team. And to do one final rundown for all of the control points on the new vault, if you're on offense, you want to capture the A zone first, just because it's going to be more difficult. The reason why is your opponents are going to spawn right here, and they're not going to stop spawning right there unless you push it out. Capturing B is super easy now because, like I said, your opponents are going to be spawning there the whole time. You don't have to push up into art anymore. And when it comes to defense, fight for A like your life depends on it, and then good luck with the rest of the map. Now, fortunately for protocol control, the majority of the spawns are pretty much the same. It seems like they added in a couple of squad spawns here and there to where if your team is pushed up on the map, you'll spawn with them. So all in all, the spawns have changed, but not as much on protocol as they did on Vault and Hacienda. I'm hoping they revert the changes because I definitely liked the old control more. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. If this video ends up helping you out, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time at lunchtime.